So an ancestral is an entity that has targeted your ancestors. And now it's targeting you. And that can show up as feeling targeted by your family member, or in ways where you feel like there's something coming at you from multiple people. And I know that there's terms out there like targeted person or gang stalking, or yeah, because entities, especially the strong ones, and the ancestrals are strong ones, they are like a gang. There's like the big leader, and then he's got all his cronies. And they can hop on anybody that they can access. And that's why healers get targeted. That's why high frequency people get targeted. And it's not bad people who get targeted by entities. It's actually powerful people who get targeted by entities. Energetically amplified people who have like really powerful auras and chakras. So to outline it, we're going to just, for example, look 3 generations back. 3 generations back. You got your mom, you got your grandma, and you got your great grandma. Just going back 3 generations. Well, and then there's you. So you, and then your 3 generations, mom, grandma, great grandma. And let's say that your great grandma was abused by her husband. What's going to happen during these periods of abuse? Well, she's going to develop a lot of resentment and a lot of hatred towards her husband for abusing her. So that in itself could create, birthed of her anger, birthed of her pain, birthed of her resentment. That in itself could create a thought form entity. It could, to protect her from him, or to punish him, or it can attract other entities that would punish him. So all her pain, all her resentment, all her anger, all her hatred. But then, what happens? They have a child together. They have a daughter. What is the daughter's inheritance going to be? Of course she's going to inherit everything from her mom. All that pain, anger, hatred, resentment. But what else is she going to inherit? Let's not forget the abusive father's energy too. So she's carrying, we focus on the victim part of our ancestral wounding, but there's also that perpetrator, victimizer part of it too. So the daughter contains both. The daughter contains that which will abuse, and also that anger and hatred. So within the daughter, we have all of it. The abuser and the abused. All the mom's hatred and anger and pain and punishment, and then all of the father's desire to control and manipulate, all of that becomes wrapped up in the daughter's energetic psychic inheritance. And now the daughter's got all that. And how's that going to show up? Now we're in grandma. The grandma would be the great grandma's daughter. It's going to show up as self-hatred. So you take the hatred from her mom towards the dad, but then they have a daughter. Even though the great grandma, she's not going to hate her daughter, but she hated the father. We got great grandma, was abused, had a daughter. That's grandma. Grandma now contains this inheritance. And what's going to happen in her life? She's going to feel hatred. She's going to feel anger towards men. She's going to attract that which is within her, because she's also carrying the frequency from her father who abused her. And if she's not playing it out, expressing itself outward she might be abusive herself, or she might attract partners who are abusive. Because everything that you experience in your physical reality is really just a mirror of what is within your energetics. Everything in your physical reality is just a mirror. It's just reflecting to you what's in your energetics, but it's telling a story, and it's telling a story of an inheritance a lot of times from your ancestors. So we've got grandma. Grandma ends up with an abusive husband. Entities, ancestrals get amplified and stronger because all that resentment, all that pain, all that hate, all that anger is just growing, it's bigger. So then they have a child together. And then there's mom. Now we're to the closest generation. And now it's amplified even more. And there's that energetic inheritance, not just of the victim of being victimized, but also of the victimizer. And that's why these can be so tricky to heal. Because you're not just healing the wounded part of yourself along your ancestry, you also have to heal the wounder. But you can. And now to you, or to like, if you're taking yourself and you're healing 3 generations back, and you've got all this amplification, and that was just a very simplified example, but you see how big that can get. But here's the key. The key is that every poison contains a bit of the cure. Every poison contains a bit of the cure. This cycle will continue until a child is born of this energy that has the ability and the desire to resolve it. It's not going to resolve on its own. It needs a direct choice and frequency and readiness to resolve. And because every poison contains a bit of the cure, you are that cure. You are that cure. As you do your ancestral healing, you are the cure that came from the poison of anybody along your ancestry who was the abuser. You are the cure of anybody along your ancestry that was the victim. But remembering that you're a combination of both. You carry the frequency from the abuser, whatever entities were on the abuser in your family line, combined with the entities that were on the victim. That's a package. That's a package, and I'm sure you're well aware of it. And if you want to know how strong that package is, well, just look at the degree of how people come at you in your life. If you're feeling targeted, if you're feeling gang stalked, if you feel like you're persecuted, then something's coming at you from multiple people. And it can be one of the most traumatic experiences of your life. And I've had multiple clients over the years that have shared this with me, and I've experienced it personally too. And I'm sure you have in your own ways too. And it's usually an ancestral targeting you. Every cure does contain the poison too. But that's the gift. That's the gift. Because you're going to be poisoned by it until you cure it. You'll be poisoned until you become the cure. Because a lot of times that's how they're targeting you through an earthbound ancestor. Because an earthbound ancestor needs matching frequency to attach. And what's going to match their frequency but their descendants? So what are they going to attach to? Their descendants. What are they going to bring along with them? Their ancestral entities. And it's the ancestral entities a lot of times that prevented them from crossing over in the first place. And remember, like, as much resentment or anger or pain or hatred you may have in yourself towards these abusers, you're carrying their energy, you're carrying their frequency, you're carrying the match to whatever entities were targeting them to be abusive. So if you're not being abusive yourself through these entities, they're coming at you through other people. It's another cloudy day, so it's like dark light as the clouds move over. Because you know what? When you heal them, Guess what? Guess what? Well, two things. Two things. One is any of those parts of yourself where you don't feel worthy, where you don't feel worthy, because there's some psychic subconscious part of yourself that knows that you're carrying the energy of this awfulness and it's making you feel unworthy because they were being awful because they felt unworthy in the first place, right? Well, that's going to start to heal and you're going to feel better about yourself. Two, you're going to be less likely to be targeted by those in ancestral entities that want to come at you through your family or through other people because there's no avenue for it anymore. The avenue is the wounding that you carry from your ancestral line and your energetics, those imprints. And sometimes it shows up in ways that we're not even conscious of. And that would be shadow. This is shadow work in many ways because it's that inheritance from the abusers that shows up in our shadow, doesn't it? Shows up in our shadow. It's the abuser inheritance. It shows up in our shadow. Like when you snap at someone or your kid or a family member or a coworker or a friend, or when you're like silently judging people or psychically telling people off, or that's, that's our shadow, or those ways where we undermine ourselves, or self-hatred, or in that self-hatred, you're not thinking to yourself, oh, I hate myself. Well, maybe sometimes, but it's going to show up in ways where you're always undermining yourself or defeating yourself or standing in your own way. And at the end of the day, okay, this isn't to absolve any of us or anyone of their wrongdoing. Ever, ever, ever. Even if the person's like freaking possessed, they still have choice. We still have choice. We choose what we channel. We choose what we channel. But at the same time, a lot of times we come in to an ancestral line. We come into the energy we come into. We inherit the energy we inherit. So we're doing the best we can with what we inherited. Give her that. And then let that then be your imprint to go through your life with that acceptance. And then see if you notice a shift in your life, like, oh, I'm feeling accepted now. Oh, I'm feeling supported now. Oh, I'm feeling welcomed now. And I think the cry is such a good confirmation too, because man, you can release so much out of third eye when you cry. So good. But that's where it culminates. That's where it culminates. And like when the frequency is right and when the time is right and when you're in readiness and it's ripe, it's ripe. When it's ripe, it's ready. When it's ripe, it's ready. And if you're guided to do this, then that means you can, then that means you can. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here doing it, right? And all it really takes is just a desire and a permission, someone who has the right to permission, and you as the ancestor, as the descendant, have that right. Because you carry all the frequency imprints from it all. And ancestral healing and clearing ancestral entities is always going to be like so game changing and life changing and just getting rid of a lot of that stuff. So helping us to amplify our healing efforts. So I love you, sisters. I will see you next week.